Good evening, man. Today we'll go very, very deep. It's late, as almost always, as of late. But we have to go deep in this video because I actually only recently realized how common this is in relationships. Because I thought, this just happened to me, but actually through the members of our community, I realized so many people posted about this, and they posted about how, first of all, common it was, and second of all, how destructive it was for their relationship. Now, the first thing I want to talk about here is what often happens is when one of the partners go cold on the other one, when they become a bit more distant, a bit more avoidant. That often has to do with them getting either too little masculine or too little feminine energy from the other person. Too little of the energy that attracted them to that person, right? And I actually recently, had a situation like this with my girl. We've been dating for almost 5.5 years, but recently I had an idea of doing celibacy with her for 30 days. Not having sex, still sleeping naked in the same bed and everything, but not having sex, right? And to be honest, that was quite an interesting experience, and I did realize that I'm quite conscious nowadays of my thoughts, and I realized I wasn't as incentivized to spend time with her. My head didn't want to spend time with her as much. Of course, sex, yes, but what's the main thing that I get through sex with her? It is that feminine, radiant, rejuvenating energy, right? And this energy that gets me out of my head and into my body, right? And of course, I didn't get that during these 30 days. So I did notice myself becoming a bit more cold, becoming a bit more distant, and that was already quite interesting. But then the thing is, what's most common, especially with young people nowadays, is many young couples, they almost have this little competition going on between them of who can be less emotionally invested into the relationship, who can be less attached to the other person, right? Who can be the cool one in the relationship, right? And at the end of the day, that is a total, just plan that is just doomed to fail. That will not work out in the end. Yes, you'll maybe have that little attractiveness and the mystery at the start of the relationship, right? But at the end of the day, it will never work out like this. And then there's the men going their own way movement and the modern feminist movement, which pretty much is the same thing, just the other direction, right? And to be honest, I only want to talk about men going their own way because I'm a man, right? I think it's completely fucking stupid, to be quite honest with you. Because the motto of this MGTOW movement, like MGTOW, right? MGTOW, men going their own way. What they essentially say is the only way to win the game is to not play the game. So if you don't want to get hurt by a woman, then just don't get with women. That is the stupidest, defeatist mindset that I've heard in a while, to be honest. It's so idiotic. And you might have heard this quote already, which is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's exactly what's happening here. Sure, you'll never get hurt by a woman, but you'll also deprive yourself of so many positive experiences that if you do it right, if you become a good man and a good lover, will massively outweigh the negatives of getting hurt by a woman a few times, which will inevitably happen. Even when you're in a long-term relationship with a loving woman, you'll get hurt every once in a while, or not every once in a while, not as commonly, right? But it'll happen sometimes, and that is fucking okay, and you should be a man about it. Let's be fucking honest here. Yes, obviously we have emotions as well, and we should embrace those emotions, but man, just completely turning down everything just because you don't want to get hurt, that's just a defeatist mindset, right? And funnily enough, the guy who actually said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, an ice hockey legend, I didn't know this until I looked it up just today actually. Wayne Gretzky is his name, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm German, so me pronouncing names, yeah, horrific. But what he also said, apparently in the same sentence, or in the same interview, was, the moment I stop giving is the moment I stop receiving. That's exactly what's happening here. The moment we stop being open and being vulnerable, or allowing vulnerability into our life and being open, being loving, and therefore, yes, making ourselves also open to getting hurt, that's also the moment where we stop receiving all those things. Because at the end of the day, what do all these red pill and men going their own way guys, what do they talk about? What do they want in a woman? They want a submissive woman. A woman will not submit to you if she can't trust you. Why would she? Right? Why would a woman submit to you if she doesn't trust that you would be a good father for her children? Won't happen, brother. Won't happen. Now, why do we also go cold in a relationship? Why do we become distant? Of course, out of fear of getting hurt, but also out of fear of giving too much. And maybe having made the experience as a child or as a teenager that when we gave someone everything, they also just took everything, right? And they didn't give us back what we gave them. These people unfortunately exist. I've had many of these people in my life, in friends, and it's not a good experience. And I think we've all gone through this where we just tried to do everything for someone and then they didn't reciprocate that back to us. At the end of the day, what happens when that happens, what we should do when that happens, when, for example, you try to give your girl everything, but then she doesn't really reciprocate that to you, is we should openly talk about it. We should openly tell her, you should openly tell her, hey, this is a relationship. I want to go deep into love here. I don't want a surface level relationship, because obviously that's not what you want. You're an ambitious guy if you're watching these videos. You're extremely ambitious, man. And you don't want a surface level relationship, do you? No, you don't. So tell her that. Tell her, hey, I want to go deep in love. I want to actually experience everything that I can experience. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to reciprocate that, then we can't be in this relationship together. And the thing is, if a person doesn't reciprocate that back to you, they have likely been more hurt in the past than you have, right? They had more experiences or more drastic experiences with giving a lot to someone and then not getting it back. So at the end of the day, and this is what it often comes back to, is self-accountability, right? Just realizing, oh, actually maybe I am doing some things that cause my partner to close down, cause my partner to become cold and to become distant. Because more often than not, that's the case. We do something that hurts our partner, that makes them trust us less, and that's why they don't open, because they don't really trust us. And that sounds fucking harsh, right? Maybe you've been with your partner for years already, and now you're like, seems like they don't trust me fully. Thing is, it might not be your mistake that you ended up in this situation, but it is your responsibility to make sure that you get out of this situation as soon as possible. And not just for yourself, but also for your partner, for your children or future children, because all of these people will be affected by that. Another thing we need to touch on here are, of course, attachment styles, right? The thing is, people think that when someone acts distant, they just simply have an avoidant attachment style and that's it. I have a 95%, or had at least in the past, now I've gone way more to the secure side, but in the past I've had a 95% anxious attachment style, and I often acted very distant because of something called protest behavior. What that simply is, for example, and maybe you can relate to this, these thoughts of, she did something bad, she needs to apologize first, or she needs to figure this out, she needs to do this better, right? She needs to come to me first. I'll sit here in my room and wait for her, because if I apologize first, that shows weakness. Something like that, right? Thing is, that will not help you. What that comes from is a hurt inner child in myself that, is vulnerable to these things, and there's a lot of trauma that I am actively working through. I've learned a lot about how to work through trauma over the last few years, and it's helped me massively. And at the end of the day, such so-called protest behavior will never help, because when a partner goes cold on you, the best thing you can do is to stay authentic to who you actually are and to who you actually want to be, and not close down because they close down, especially if you're a man and your girl closes down. Because at the end of the day, if you stay that unperturbed, masculine, grounded guy that, for example, David Deida talks a lot about, right? I've read many books from him and they've helped me massively. The words masculine, feminine, unfortunately, are completely over and misused nowadays, especially on YouTube and social media. But he puts it into a very good perspective, in my opinion. Thing is, it won't help you to close down when they close down. If you want to have a deep, loving, passionate relationship, closing down when they close down is simply immature, comes from a place of you being hurt and them being hurt, and it will not help you to have a deep relationship. It will always keep that relationship on the surface, and you'll never reach the relationship that you actually want. So boys, don't lose yourself. Don't lose who you authentically are. That's the worst thing you can do. Acting in ways that are not authentic to who you are, losing yourself, not giving even though you enjoy giving. That's the worst thing you can do when your girl or your partner closes down. Become more comfortable with yourself. Become someone who you can be comfortable with. Don't delude yourself. Don't be one of those guys who is like, I just love myself for who I am, even though you don't, even though you're overweight, even though you're depressed, even though you have acne or whatever it is. Of course, don't go into the state of just hating yourself for your looks or something like that. That is completely and utterly stupid, but realize that maybe you're not the person that you actually would want to be. Maybe you know deep down that you don't work towards reaching your potential right now, and that's why you don't like yourself, right? And there's a balance. There's a balance between just accepting who you are and liking that version of yourself, and then working towards the next step. Always go from a place of, my situation and myself is already good, and now I'm gonna go to this even better situation. That's the mindset to have here, because you are already good. You're alive. That's awesome. You have a partner. That is even more awesome. You've achieved things in life. You are good as you are, but you can be so much more. And then, when you've gotten to that point, you will be at a point in your relationship where you want to be with your girl, with your partner, but where you don't need them. Where you desire them, but you don't need them to feel whole in yourself. And I'm not saying to become distant through that. I'm not saying to not commit to your partner. What I'm saying is, commit fully, but commit from a place of wanting, a place of desiring, but not a place of needing, because that is a very insecure bond. Now, if you are in a situation in your relationship where either you or your partner or both of you close down often, go cold on each other, and if you're a guy, because what I'm about to say is only for guys, and what you can do is join our community. It is genuinely, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but it is genuinely the best place on the internet that I have seen for ambitious men with a mature mindset who want to build a deep relationship. I'm incredibly proud of what we're building here. We're at like 75, 80 members, and I don't let in everyone, which is why the quality of guys in there is so incredibly high, and why everyone in there is invested into helping each other, because I'll also kick out people if they're inactive. I don't care. This community is completely for free. And right now we're still at a size where I can interact with everyone, I can comment on everyone's posts, I can help everyone, and man, it's really been a very fulfilling and wholesome experience to see all these guys help each other and even help me sometimes. So if that's something that you're interested in, check that out. Link for that is in the description. And yeah, man, I know you might not be in the best place in your relationship right now, and that's okay. Relationships aren't easy, but because of that, they will force us to grow, and that's a good thing. Join the community if you want to. I'll see you in there. Have a good one. I'll see you soon. Bye.